Hey Ringsiders, what is going on? This is your host, Boxing's Objective Observer, and welcome back to Ringside Stories, or if you're new, we cover boxing and combat sports through mini documentaries and backstories. So if you enjoy that type of content, feel free to subscribe, thumbs up, and hit that notification bell for the latest here on Ringside Stories. Welcome to the channel, and thanks for your support. Now, Tyson Fury is caught blatantly lying in his interview with former Mancunian right back Gary Neville on Sky Bet's Overlap. Chances are, ticket sales for the upcoming Wilder 3 fight are poor, and this could be Fury's attempt to sell his fight in front of a big UK audience using Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn for clout, which is nothing new. And Fury is slick because he knows Gary's audience aren't made up of hardcore boxing fans. Gary himself isn't a hardcore boxing fan as far as I know. So in my opinion, Tyson is trolling. This will be all in good fun, but today we're gonna have a field day with facts, fairness, and proper context. Let's get into it.
Like Joshua's fought not one heavyweight in his prime. Like he fought Klitschko at 42 years old.
Yes, a 42-year-old Vladimir Klitschko who before the Joshua fight had been out the ring for a year and a half because he was chasing a rematch that Tyson Fury agreed to but never gave because he decided to go in retirement. And a Vladimir Klitschko who showed up on fight night against Joshua to give a show of a fight which he never had shown in the 11 years prior.
Pulev 40-odd.
Kubrat Pulev, whose only loss prior to the Joshua fight was against Vladimir Klitschko. And on the rebound of that Klitschko loss piled up 9 consecutive wins, including a win over Derek Chisora, who was on a 5-fight winning streak of his own, and Tyson's cousin Yui Fury in 2018. Don't tell me Yui is a bad fighter, so don't tell me Kubrat Pulev was a bad fighter back in 2018. Kubrat Pulev, who was Anthony Joshua's mandatory challenger since 2017, but ducked the fight for almost 3 years, and still got dominated and brutally knocked out.
Povetkin 40-odd.
Alexander Povetkin, who even past his prime, knocked out a legit top 5 heavyweight and current WBC interim heavyweight titleist Dillian Whyte, who was AJ's WBA mandatory challenger, someone who, for example, Deontay Wilder was slated to fight as his WBC mandatory in 2016, but due to circumstances didn't have to, and eventually never did, when Wilder could have easily fought Alexander Povetkin years after. Alexander Povetkin, who by the way was never stopped as a pro until he fought Anthony Joshua in September of 2018.
Joshua's fought not one heavyweight in his prime.
Then what about Dillian Whyte? Long before the body snatcher became a top heavyweight, was involved in a great fight, a great domestic rivalry between arguably 2 of the best UK heavyweight talents at the time who were both undefeated. And Dillian Whyte has been chomping at the bits to have a fight with either Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury ever since he made it to the top 5 in the current heavyweight division.
Like Joshua's fought not one heavyweight in his prime.
What about Charles Martin?
I walk this earth like a god. Step right over.
Of who you said, quote, Charles Martin is not an easy fight for Joshua. If I had to put money on it, I'd say Charles Martin stops Joshua as he is a 6'5" punching southpaw with combinations who is not afraid of people just because they've got muscles, end quote. Charles Martin, who held the IBF World Heavyweight title and was undefeated when Joshua dispatched of him in 2 rounds.
Joshua's fought not one heavyweight in his prime.
What about Joseph Parker, an undefeated world champion and arguably the fastest combination puncher in the heavyweight division bar Andy Ruiz, who Parker, by the way, defeated to become the WBO World Heavyweight Champion. And of course, Andy Ruiz, by the way of who you said,
this guy can fight. He's had 110 amateur fights and won 105 of them. He's lost a split decision for a world title. If Ruiz wins again, which I think he will because I'll explain why, it wasn't like he landed some lucky punch. This guy was giving him a beatdown. I thought he lost every single round of the 7 rounds that he was lasting. Ruiz has quicker hands than him, and what happened with Joshua is he got mixed up with 2 styles.
How do you predict the second fight in Saudi Arabia?
Same again, exactly, even with his mind straight, because his mind wasn't the problem. The thing is with AJ, he can't change his style. He's a brute force, great at what he does. He's powerful, he's strong, he's got good boxing IQ and that, but he can't come out on his toes. He ain't going to come out like Muhammad Ali, flicking the jab and moving around.
Or like Tyson Fury.
Yeah, the problem was he's met his bogeyman in Andy Ruiz Jr.
Yet Joshua beat this so-called bogeyman in an immediate rematch.
Come out on his toes. He ain't going to come out like Muhammad Ali, flicking the jab and moving around.
But I don't think the fight will happen. We've been trying to do this fight since we was 22 years old. I'm now 33 in a minute.
Well, Tyson Fury knows with Gary Neville what audience he's dealing with there. And so Tyson himself knows that's a lie. Keep in mind, Anthony Joshua has been a pro since 2013, whereas Fury started as a pro in 2008. So in 2011, Joshua was still an amateur, barely started boxing back then, which means Tyson Fury has a 5-year jump start over Anthony Joshua. The point? Tyson Fury claims that he has wanted to fight Anthony Joshua professionally for over 10 years, when Joshua has been a professional boxer for barely 8 years.
I'm not optimistic that the fight will ever happen, to be fair.
You don't think he wants it?
Nah. He talks a good game, but is he really a fighting man? I'm not really too sure.
What's happening, AJ?
Training, keep it like simple. When are we fighting?
When are we fighting? Behave yourself.
It sounds like 2021.
I only called you up to say hello.
Of course I want a challenge. It's not about the opponent, it's about the legacy and the belt. Whoever's got the belt, I'd love to compete with them. If that is Tyson Fury, let it be Tyson Fury.
2 British world heavyweight champions for the undisputed heavyweight champion. No, and it will never be done again.
It's history in the making.
I've just got off the phone from Prince Khalid of Saudi Arabia. He told me this fight's a 100% on. August 14th, 2021, summertime. All eyes of the world will be on the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Joshua Fury, we saw Tyson's video yesterday saying that he's had some confirmation from Saudi the fight will go ahead. Can you just update everybody as to where things currently stand?
Well, we have a few more points. Funny enough, the fighters are on the same page. There is no controversy between the 2 fighters as far as going ahead. So the Matchroom, Queensberry and Top Rank and their lawyers are working to finalize the contract with the Saudis. We've made great progress. Both fighters are eager for the fight. So hopefully it'll happen August 14th.
Me and Joshua were going to fight. No contracts were signed or anything like that. And then all of a sudden, Deontay Wilder's put on an arbitration against me from a top judge and all the best lawyers in America. So I can't do anything about that. And I was never very optimistic about that AJ fight happening because this was always going on in the background and they knew all that. Eddie Hearn knew it, Joshua knew it, they all knew it.
Well, Tyson Fury is clearly lying about the arbitration, or he doesn't know that he doesn't know. Because regarding the arbitration case, this is what happened according to both Eddie Hearn, who is AJ's promoter, and Tyson's own promoter, Bob Arum.
There's still people waiting to see what happens with Deontay Wilder's arbitration situation. Have you got any update for us on that?
Well, we'll know today. The judge is coming down with the decision today, the arbitrator coming down with a decision today, and we're optimistic that it'll allow the fight to go ahead.
And I was never very optimistic about that AJ fight happening because this was always going on in the background and they knew all that. Eddie Hearn knew it, Joshua knew it, they all knew it.
What's kind of a worst case scenario if it didn't go the way that everybody would like?
We don't talk about worst case scenario. We know what has been said, what the issues are, and we're optimistic that the fight will proceed, Fury and Joshua, on August 14th.
And yeah, it was a shock to the system. You know, this negotiation's been going on for 3 or 4 months now, and you know, we were always assured that this wouldn't be a problem. It was a very strange decision from the arbitrator, to say the least, but that's their business, that's their responsibility, and we can have to see now where they go with it.
Do you know how much the suing case was if I don't fight him? $80 million, $80 million, $80 million, $80 million. Do you know how much the suing case was if I don't fight him? $80 million.
Look, Tyson Fury is a great fighter when he fights. I like his style, and he's great for boxing as long as he fights. His win over Vladimir Klitschko in 2015 in Germany is still very underrated. Fury's win over Deontay Wilder in 2020 was spectacular. Both wins over Klitschko and Wilder were very significant, and I think he beat Wilder the first time around also in 2018 when he came back from his near 3-year-long layoff. That said, Tyson Fury hasn't been as consistent as Anthony Joshua or even Dillian Whyte, who is still waiting for a shot against Tyson Fury.
You can't really take Tyson Fury serious. He says one thing, then he does another thing. The facts are the facts. He called it on when the Canman showed he didn't want it.
Hey, again, this is all in good fun. I like Tyson Fury as a fighter when he fights. He's funny, he's full of contradictions, and deep down he himself knows in this interview he was full of shit. Let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are of these blatant lies that Tyson Fury made on Sky Bet in his interview with Gary Neville. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up, and hit that notification bell as it improves the algorithm for Ringside Stories, i.e. inspiring us to make more quality content for y'all. If you've done that already, you're amazing. We already know that you are the true undisputed world champion. Till next time, Ringsiders, this is your host, Boxing's Objective Observer with Ringside Stories. Thanks for watching and have a legendary day.